Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Answering the Bell with Stormy B Man, our Sunday morning call-in show for this Sunday, August 2nd, 2026. This is number 208 in the series of call-ins. We're calling this episode, Look What It's Come To. Yeah, and you know, there's a lot to be said now because of where we find ourselves. What we're witnessing in the sport of boxing, it's not pleasant, huh? It's not pleasant. And it's time for there to be some kickback, some pushback against all of the negativity that we have seen on scene in the sport, our beloved sport of boxing. We had got to a certain groove where, with the participation of those like Turkey Al-Sheikh and the Riyadh season promotions had come in, and they began to pay fighters, removing the adage of there's no money in something, where they were able to make fights and please fighters with purses that allowed them to feel less threatened by opposition and be compensated, sometimes in the point of being overcompensated. And we now see that that little phase, it worked for a moment, but then boxing reverted right back to the nastiness, the filth, the sewage of the sport, which is why you've seen less of Stormy B, man, because you know what? I wash my hands of it, people. But this show, this platform, gives you a chance to be heard, because you should be. That's why Answering the Bell exists. So you could come in and voice your opinion on what you're witnessing, how it's affecting you. Maybe it's not. How it makes you see the sport, and just let it be known, if you are a supporter, that this is not the way, huh? For those of you who watch The Mandalorian and they say this is the way for the Mandalorians, listen, this is not the way for professional fighters. It's not. Yeah. So welcome everybody that's out there today. We're multi-streaming again on my Stormy B Man channel and the Temple of Culture and Entertainment channel on YT. And then we're also going strong on Rumble, where this show may kick right on over to within a short period of time. The link for Rumble is in the chat. It's been pinned there, so you guys can know that if you're watching from wherever you are and things seem to come to an abrupt halt, guess what you can do? You can make the move. Yeah, so I hope everybody's doing well. We had fights last night. Not here to talk about that today. I'm not. Don't care, you know. And that's the other thing. When you put Stormy B Man in that particular place where he begins to not have any care, concern, or words to express on some of this fare, you lose a real strong supporter, man. Because I don't care. Lamont Roach has been a serious part of some of the problems, and now he's been humbled, huh? Yeah. He had opportunities to do other things, and for whatever reason, whomever advised, yeah, you're witnessing your own crash out, young man. You and your dad have a bit of reality to deal with, huh? So yeah, Let's see who we got in the building this morning. We got people coming in from different directions. I'll try to hit you as you come in. Got Joe Gagliardi out there saying good morning, Stormy. Del Riv is in the building. LPRN is out there as well. Mr. Shelton is back with us. Universal Truth in the building. Convos with Cam. The sister says, peace and blessings to you always, Stormy. Working today, but stopping by to show love and support. We appreciate that. NBA D Nice is in the building. What's good with you? Will Sinclair, my brother, is out there saying, salute family. Yes, sir. Appreciate you on both platforms. Represent. Yeah. Feel free to share the stream. We're going to cook on some things, man. And I'll tell you something. I have to bring something back because it's important that it not be lost on us with what we're doing out here. It's not going to be lost on us. Take a quick moment and see if I can get back to what's important, man. What's important. Yeah. We're bringing back certain imagery because you guys know that the usual means of the sport going sideways happens by the hands of some prominent names, albeit they shouldn't be as influencing as they are, but here we go. Those who run interference in the sport of boxing. Some of you may have seen this particular meme by me before, but it is appropriate for today's show because this is what it's coming to. Yeah, this is what it's coming to. Girlfriends running interference in the sport of boxing. There's nothing to be proud of here. Nothing. This is ridiculous. And you shouldn't be enamored. You shouldn't be engaged or entertained by such foolishness. I was going to use a different word, but it's Sunday. Yeah. The latest has had us really grasping at straws. Like, what is going on, people? What is really going on? If you feel good about the sport of boxing right now and all this negative influence, you need your temperature checked as well. You know. And there are other representatives out here as well. They're by the boatload. Let's see here. Hey. If I can. Just want to show you what I'm talking about, because they like to put certain individuals out there and have you revere them. Huh? How many of you remember this? Huh? How many of you remember this? Now they're going to try and tell you that this guy is on his way to returning in the sport to be undisputed. Really? Really? Damn the ones who really represent in the sport. Huh? Who show you time and again who are willing to put it on the line and say, hey, you know, I'm going for it. But they don't want to promote that. They don't want you to say too much about that. Some of these fighters can represent so well and so strongly. They can give you exactly what you seek in the sport. And funny how some of these representatives in the sport don't deliver. They don't deliver. Now, Joe, I'm about to come for you because I want you to understand. You were out here in the chat early. You may have walked away from the show or whatever. But I said something a little while ago that if you are in attendance and were privy, I said something. But here you go with this specific thing you're asking me about. You see? This is why I'm stopping for what I do. Because I can't even get people on board with what's at hand. This is what it's come to. This is why they get away with doing all of this foolishness that they do in the sport, because people can't focus up. And if you want to get in your feelings about that, do so. We're adults, right? But adults should know how to focus up, shouldn't they? I am not going to go to McDonald's looking for fried chicken. Hmm? I am not going to an Italian restaurant wanting El Pastor quesadilla. Huh? See, that's the problem. That's the problem. You might not think it's a problem. You might not think that you're contributing, but you are. Now, if you're still there, instead of saying my bad, did you not hear what I said earlier? Did you not hear me? Is there someone in the chat that can repeat what I said? No, I said there was a possibility you might have walked away. But I said we had fights last night. I ain't here to talk about that. I said Lamont Roach and his dad had reality check and they gonna have to work some things out. That's what I said. Yeah. Because what I'm here to talk about today is look what it's come to. The boxing. Salute to the coach of the truth tellers in the building. My comrade, Coach Hudson. We got K-Rod in the building as well. Salute to you. You see, because if you guys really wanted to talk real boxing, then these 4 subjects here on the screen would not have had an opportunity to get away with what they've been getting away with, because you would have been pressing the stone. You would have been pressing other content creators who put out ridiculous narratives. And I don't like to use that word, but it does apply in certain instances. But the influences from some of us that could hold the sanctity but do not. And it allows the porous, poisonous creepings from people like these guys to come into the sport. Yeah. I have a backdrop. These 2 men right here have been working diligently, vigorously, trying to bring the best of what the sport has to offer. And there has been an allegiance of unlike-minded sorts, just like those individuals that I just had up on the screen a moment ago, to rail against what's happening with these men. And the worst part of it all, these men have tried to give these men opportunities to flourish. Flourish. I didn't say win, become embattled or empowered. I said to flourish. But they've been so dumb. They haven't allowed themselves to take part in what is available to them, because they only want the crumbs off of the table. They don't want what's dining on the table, what's coming from the kitchen to the table and placed on plates. These are the type of things, again, like I said, I will speak on them if nobody else will. DHP means something to me.
Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
Yeah. The representation is important, man. It's important. You see this? I made certain to get on this show today and show this. I told BFTB when I got this in the mail, I said, hey man, my next live, I'm wearing my DHP shirt. Remember, I said I lead by example. This is how it's done. This is how it's done. You put your fucking foot one in front of the other and you move forward, ahead. Damn the torpedoes, full steam ahead. This is not just lip service over here with Stormy B Man. Because just like I can hold myself accountable, I'm going to hold everybody else accountable too. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. It's just like that. I don't entertain foolishness nor disrespect. You're going to act like you got your thinking cap on correct, or I'm going to treat you like you got one of them special helmets on and show you the door. I don't run special ed over here. And just like that, 3 or 4 people fell off. Good. And bye. You see? This is what I talk about all the freaking time. This image that I got in the backdrop. Sweet Pea Whitaker taking on Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. High profile, pound for pound matchup during their time. 2 of the best that were doing it in the sport. The whole point of this as my backdrop today, because I have certain backdrops that I can put in, but this is sending the message. When I talk about look what it's come to, it's not this. It's not this. Will Sinclair, absolutely. They can't handle the truth. And you know what? Fuck them. Because I ain't here to raise them, bro. Remember, you're talking about adults. Adults make decisions. Huh? And you have to live with them. Jimmy Bernard, what's good with you? Yeah. So if you're going to be out there engaged in the foolishness, understand that there's plenty that goes with that. But being on the wrong side of truth, of history, when you can change. And change is important because, some of you may wear the same underwears several days a week. Without washing. Socks several days a week. Your armpits smell like ain't nobody touched any soap and water up under them, along with deodorant, several days out of the week. And we can see those of you out in public who don't comb your hair. You might want to say, well, I'm wearing braids, I'm wearing dreads. If you don't get in there and wash your damn body, again, upholding the sanctity of what should be handled appropriately. This is what it's come to. You will go and sit up and listen to some of these guys speak for hours, and you know they're talking wrong. You know they're saying crazy foolishness. Shout out to my brother, Freedom's March, that was online yesterday and really gave a very good stream on that, because it's appalling to see some of this foolishness. And insulting to intelligence. Who in the hell would want to just sit up and listen to that? Making it up as you go. Putting blames and claims on inappropriate circumstances and people and mixing it all up to make it look like everybody's jacked up. No, everybody is not jacked up. But you are. What the hell is that? See, that's the kind of shit that happens. And then you got people like Lamont Roach and his dad going out there thinking that they have an opportunity entering a bout with someone like William Zepeda, totally unprepared to deal with what he brings to the ring. And you look like a damn fool, a rudderless boat, no life jacket, and the seas are getting rough. You spend too much time on the foolishness. Too much time. Salute to Tay Tay. I see you out there, little sis. Appreciate you representing on both channels. Thank you. Yeah. Coach, are you still in the building? Coach Hudson. Let me know if you're still in the building. Trying to wait for a response from Coach Hudson. might have stepped away. Sunday, he got other stuff going on. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and open up these lines. And again, I will remind you, don't really care to talk about last night's bouts and cards. I don't. But I would love to speak on the foolishness that's transpiring. We've seen it with Stevenson and all of his cohorts and what they've been doing out here. It's time to put these folks down. Straight foolishness. Nobody want to hit the line up? There's more people falling off. By the way, this is an advertisement for my Patreon. Got a new Patreon up talking about the hysteria regarding the bonnet and the history of the bonnet. The bonnet. Yeah. You know that thing that some people wear as a headdress and they walk around and look like they really need to leave that thing at home, tighten up their appearance, along with the pajama pants and the house slippers. Yeah. Mahari Nation Sports Podcast, I see you out there on the Rumble. What's going on? Mac of the Smack of the South. What's good, bro? You see, when there's an opportunity to speak truth, people step away. They step back into the bushes. They walk down the street a different direction. This is why you're faltering. This is why you're third and fourth rate. This is why people don't respect you. Kondo, what's good? The line is open. Remember, conversation rules the nation. Rules the nation. When you don't have it, the nation falters. Things get shaky. You can't even iron out what the difficulties being faced happen to be and how to resolve because you step away. Okay, we got 651 in the building. I believe that's my brother, Abel Mahari. What's going on with you, man? What's happening?
What's happening? Just came home from church and now I'm about to go ahead and let it loose because pussy ass Keyshawn Davis basically exposed everything about himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
Go ahead, brother. I'll let you have your moment. Go ahead. What you got to say about it?
let me say something right now, man. I don't want to hear him talk about God. I don't want to hear him address nothing about the Bible, nothing like that, because everything that he has said this entire time has been nothing more than sure blasphemy. And the fact of the matter is, you shortchange yourself from a guaranteed payday. You thought that the purse bid was going to work out in your favor. When it turned out it didn't, and Devin was still going to get paid regardless. Then all of a sudden, now you decide, oh, okay, I don't want no damn fight. Fuck this. I don't want. I'll take the $3 million. Oh, now you say you want the $3 million. You know what, bro? I'm so sick and tired of these duck sisters of Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson thinking that they can maneuver around and thinking what they can do whatever the hell they want with no consequences. Well, guess what? When the history of your career comes down to it, y'all gonna be remembered as nothing more than scary fighters that never wanted to be the best. And you ducked away from opportunities of extending your legacy of being one of the greats. But I ain't get the feeling that in this generation today, these guys don't think like that. They think, I want to take the best shortcut available so I can get to the bag my own way. Well, guess what? You ain't going to get it your way because fate is telling you you ain't going to get it until you face your adversity and face your challenges. I'm talking to Keyshawn. I'm talking to Tank. I'm talking to Shakur Stevenson. The three-headed pussies in box. What you got to say about that, huh?
Listen, this is not about money. This is not about money. See, one of the reasons that what they have accomplished in this whole psychotic way of moving, Tank Davis, Richardson Hitchens, Shakur Stevenson, and Keyshawn Davis, One of the reasons that they have been successful with this joint effort that they've pulled, along with, you can pull Rolly Romero in there, along with Tiafimo Lopez. Listen, because you have content creators out here who have channels, and you have people who are prominent with covering the sport who will continue to push these narratives. There's that word that I really don't like, but you've allowed it to happen to a degree that they can just basically write the script of how things go in real time with no accountability toward the responsibility that they have as fighters. These people have become figures in the sport instead of fighters in the sport. The names that I just ran off, whom have they fought? Tiafimo, whom has he fought? Rolly Romero, who has he fought? Shakur Stevenson, whom has he fought? Richardson Hitchens, whom has he fought? Javante Tank Davis, whom has he fought? Keyshawn Davis, whom has he fought? Now, think about it. The alliance that they've formed, right? With the narratives that they, the supporters and content creators who contribute to this, will have you believe that they're chasing bags and that they are looking at, the opportunity to what works best for them. Do you know that each and every one of them, if they're so called chasing bags, they have left the money on the table of the biggest bags each one of them could have had by not facing the person to get the money? So that's how you know it's not about money. These are people, Crudgeons, who are living and existing on the vibe of word of mouth of what people say, who's popular and all of that kind of stuff, which really has nothing to do with anything. And the boxing public has gotten to a point where they have become so brainwashed by this stuff that they won't even say anything anymore. They actually contribute. Have you heard like some of these idiots when they call in and you say like a brother like Champside, much respect to he and what he does, and he'll have his platform hosting Bill Haney and have people call in. And a guy will say something like, and I just was listening to this earlier this morning. Oh, Keyshawn is gonna murder Devin and this and that, right? This is before the news came out about what was happening. Anyway, and when he was asked, well, why do you say that? The young man responded with, oh, because he's got the killer instinct. Killer instinct. Okay, so if we know what killer instinct means, where was the killer instinct when it came to signing the contract for this fight? It's all bullshit. You see? And they don't get challenged on this stuff. A little earlier in this broadcast, I fussed at Joe. Joe is one of my subscribers and everything, but I fussed at him because I was driving a point home. I wasn't trying to be mean, but I was trying to be stern and firm on what I represent out here. Because I said, I'm not talking about last night's fights. I want to talk about look at what it's come to in boxing. That's the title of today's Answering the Bell episode. Because there's something that needs to be said about all of this misrepresentation. And people don't want to look at what is happening and say, let's do something about it. They kind of want to pretend and hide behind something and act like it's just going to go away. It's not going to just go away because you've invited it into your home. You've invited it into the sport. And it's time to shut the door and say no more. These young men, they're all roughly around the same age. I've never seen this in the sport of boxing where they just don't want to fight each other. Why are you in the sport? Imagine the Lakers don't want to play the Celtics. Cleveland don't want to play the Bulls. Oklahoma City don't want to play San Antonio. What are we doing here?
Right.
And for those who haven't grasped what I said, and Mahari, I know you are a basketball man. This is the kind of shit that came out of what LeBron did. It's the same thing, but a different sport. Now you see how it looks in boxing? All of that, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. Listen, that girlfriend bullshit. And now you look at it and everybody is everybody's friend. Everybody is everybody's brother. Everybody is everybody's boyfriend and all of this bullshit. And now you don't even have anybody who got fucking heart that want to compete and want to put the other one dick in the dirt to say that they the best. Jimmy Butler was running around a few seasons ago, got his hair all permed out looking like a woman. What the hell? Painting your fingernails.
Yep, I remember that.
Carrying purses and shit. Running around D-Wade with capri pants and everything. And God knows what happened in his personal family. That all of that kind of stuff. Listen, man, when is enough enough? The reason that they let that man compete in the women's division in amateur boxing in the Olympics is because of all of this bullshit. It's affecting everything. And when are people gonna realize they have contributed to this shit? Because you sit up and say, well, that's them over there. They should live like they want to live. They should be how they want to be. It's okay to, you can still love. No. Consent is a problem when you have the acceptance of all of this stuff that don't belong. A man doesn't belong in the women's bathroom. I'll say it again. A man does not belong in a women's bathroom. It is time to do away with the foolishness. It's unacceptable. Stop feeding into this shit. What's wrong with Stevenson and the rest of his crew is ain't nobody ever stood up and told him exactly what I'm saying right now. Get your shit together. The reason that they don't like Devin is because Devin is not from that cloth.
Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
Abdullah Mason is not from that cloth. Brian Norman Jr. is not from that cloth. And there are a few others. You had the heavyweight champion of the world, Alexander Usyk, out here lying to the public and lying to the press that AJ, I believe he's in the right place. He can be undisputed. He can be a champion again. No, he can't. He's washed. Why are you lying to people? And then you take the titles that you had and you get rid of them. Because you don't want to face guys who could potentially put a loss on your record. So you're trying to walk around with the dignification of having the status of being heavyweight champion without having the belts. You see what I say about the contributing factors? Because when you look at Usyk, they say, oh, he's a God-fearing man and this and that or whatever. He's still a part of the Masonic brotherhood that all of this shit is based on. Yeah, he might believe in Christ. But we know he's done some other things to be where he is. And for those that want to say things like, oh, he's earned the right. Being a heavyweight contending fighter, you earn the right to give someone else a chance, an opportunity to test their mettle against you. And we had one young Ajit Cabiel, who he's avoided for the past 3 years. Over a damn kickboxer that is not in the sport of boxing. And see, guys don't recognize that you take the title and you give it up. Oh, I dropped the belt. Well, someone's going to fight for that vacant belt, but guess what they don't have? They don't have the legacy of winning it from the former champion. In other words, another email champion. So someone can always ask, well, who did you beat? Now, you might establish your career starting off fighting some solid guys, but you never won from the champ. Boxing history is loaded with the stories of lineal titles where someone had to go into the fire and win it from someone. Joe Frazier beat Muhammad Ali when Ali came back in 1970. And though he had been emailed the championship when Ali was outside of boxing for 3.5 years, but they fought one another as two undefeated fighters, and Frazier got the decision. He legitimized his heavyweight championship by fighting Ali. He lost that title to George Foreman, the 1968 Olympic champion, heavyweight, George Foreman. He beat Joe Frazier to become heavyweight champion of the world. Legitimate. In order to become a two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Ali had to fight the most gruesome, monstrous heavyweight fighter in history, George Foreman, to win his title back. Not Joe Frazier, but George Foreman, who was 8 years his junior. it made the story all the better because Foreman was beating everybody from their era. Everybody. In devastating Mike Tyson like fashion. For those who weren't around, Foreman was Tyson before Tyson, not Joe Frazier, Foreman. And he was much bigger than Mike Tyson. 6'3", 6'4", 220 plus pounds, 80-inch arm reach, dynamite in both hands. Foreman could knock you out with one blow. Tyson usually had to put combinations together. He hit Joe Frazier with an uppercut that raised Frazier off the canvas, and he bounced like a basketball when he hit him on the back of the head and he went down. People thought he was going to murder Ali. But imagine becoming champion, winning the title from someone like that. That totally legitimizes your stake and your claim. What are these guys legitimizing today? Everybody is, why can't we be friends and lovers, sleeping head to toe, and all of this foolishness, showing each other your privates and all of that. What the hell is going on? And this is acceptable? You damn right I don't want to watch this bullshit. So, in my long-winded response, Mahari, those are my thoughts about that. Remember, because you ended what you had to say with, what do you think about that?
Yes, I did.
What I think about that. This is fucking ridiculous what we're witnessing in the sport today. And it's embarrassing. The former champions of old are turning over in their boxing graves for this. If anyone ever thought it would come to this, they probably would not have supported.
Yep, I agree with you. Yeah, and you wonder why we watch old school boxing matches these days, because what we're seeing now is a disgrace, and it's really, to be honest with you, and this is my authentic, honest response. This is why lots of people are straying away from the sport, because when you have personalities like this, it makes the sport even more battle into the guys like Devin Haney and Deontay Wilder and previously Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence, who are trying to fight the way that fans want them to fight and want to make the best fights. But then you got guys like Shakur Stevenson, Richardson Hitchens, Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. It casts a very dark shadow over the sport of boxing. And it just makes it worse and worse and worse. So, and this is one of the reasons why many fans are pretty much put their hands up and said, "I've had enough," because you guys think that you control boxing, and then you wonder why people like the Dana Whites in the world, the Turkey Al-Sheikhs in the world, can pretty much swoop into boxing and pretty much come in there and literally just take away the rights of boxers and not even notice it. You know what? Just like how Jesse Ventura tried to unionize wrestlers. If they are not willing to put the work in to make things better, then you get what you deserve. And I feel absolutely nothing for them. I really don't.
Yep.
You know what I thought about it, Story B, man? When I heard the news about what Keyshawn did, I thought about you, because I know how much you are so passionate about fighters fighting against the best. And then when I see stuff like this, I think about you. I think about scrapbook. I think about the late great Kurt Anderson. How would these guys feel? You know, even some of the old school trainers like the George Bentons, Lou Dumas, the Emmanuel Stewarts of the world. You know what I'm saying? How would they feel about this now? It's getting ridiculous.
Listen, Eddie Futch, one of the greatest boxing trainers in the history of the sport, after the '88 Olympics, was approached by Riddick Bowe's management team. And they were like, hey, can we talk to you about training Riddick? And Eddie Fush told him, I'm not interested in this. You know, he had seen Bo and he had heard about Bo's bad habits and stuff like that and wasn't interested. And they begged and they pleaded with him and everything. So he relented and said he'd take him on, but it was a battle back and forth because Bo, with his, for lack of a better way of saying it, his immature approach to the sport, he liked to goof around a lot and all of that. And he's a big man. You know, Bo was 6'5", man, and 250 pounds easy. Futch had brought in some people to assist him with dropping some of that weight and getting in better shape and everything. And for as long as Bo was in shape, he looked very good. But he'd have these moments where he'll go off rails and be very undisciplined and put on excess weight and stuff, and it made it harder and tougher. But Futch dedicated himself to training Bo toward a title shot. Thing about it is this: he still ended up walking away from Bo for the very reasons that he said initially that he didn't want to work with him. And you saw how Bo's career ended up.
Yep.
When I say these things that I say, it's just like I'm Eddie Futch and I'm witnessing and I try to tell you all, but you're not listening. And look at how the sport is ending up. What is the title of today's show? Look what it's come to.
Hmm.
You see that analogy? It's
Yes, I
right
do.
in front of your face. But you guys will go on these other platforms and everything and listen astutely to some of these people speak such utter foolishness that it boggles the mind. It's almost like you'll sit in a session of someone trying to make sense out of playing with a booger in their nose. Now, that sounds like a silly concept, but people are sitting there listening, taking it in, laughing, slapping and pounding each other and high fiving and all of that. And it's like, this is one of the most idiotic things you could be doing. I created a platform where there's so much of depth of where you can really learn some shit if you want to, or just engage because there's mental stimulation going on, or even something that sparks inquiry where you want to find out, but never for the foolishness. And it's happening that society is so dumbed down now is that you thirst for the ignorance. You thirst for the inadequate, sub subculture, sub existence, all of that. You that's what you want. Have at it. Cause I'm done.
Hmm.
I'm done. You
Yep.
look at my
And
chat
I can
right
feel.
now. You look at my chat right now. And those who have written in my chat, it's far more listening and watching than those who have written in. And for, in case you don't know this, you can write someone's name that you know or familiar with. You can add that as you begin to write it in the live. And if they're here listening, it'll show up on the screen. You know that, right? Did you know that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you could add, like, say if you wanted Joe Blow, and you start to type a message to Joe Blow in the chat, but he ain't wrote nothing. If he's there, it'll show up. So we got tons of these people right here, including people that we call so-called family, but they don't show Stormy B Man support. But they'll say they support. Why you don't want to be seen in Stormy B Man's chat? Stormy has come to some of those brothers and written in their chats, sent them super chats and everything, even bought merchandise. You see the foolishness? It knows no bounds. Because if you're really supporting and you're really down, this is what you do. I don't want fair weather motherfuckers around me. You can get the fuck on with that.
Hmm.
Because life is too precious, too serious, and you can be flipped in a twinkling of an eye from the circumstance where you thought you might have been good and you're no longer, or you think that you weren't and now you are. That's why I'm wearing this shirt today, because, like I said, I lead by example. That's what I'm on. And I ain't here to make people feel good. I ain't here to make people say, well, I, I'm glad I had a chance to. Damn all of that. I'm representing something totally different.
Hmm. Absolutely. Hey, I got not much to say after that because I wanted to express my internal thoughts about this whole thing, and everything that you said, it's what I've been feeling the whole time. So there's nothing else that needs to be said, and I really appreciate you accepting my phone call, man, and continue to do what you do best, giving that raw, authentic, and uncut truth because that's what we've been needing all this time. I appreciate you.
I appreciate your call, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
You too. Peace. Yep. It is what it is. Okay, we got 518. Who's calling? What's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going, Stormy? It's Kieran calling or K-Rod.
K Rod, what's happening, bro?
Not much. Hope you're doing well, for this Sunday.
I'm in a certain mode, but I'm blessed because I'm here and I gave acknowledgement when I opened my eyes this morning for that. But yes, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just very happy right now. I managed to get myself a job opportunity with working for USPS, so I'll be working for the post office very soon. So,
All right. Well, first thing I want to tell you about that is congratulations. And the second thing I want to tell you is
I appreciate it.
make sure you deliver them people mail. Don't you be one of them posted people that be driving under viaducts and everything and having the bags of mail stuck up under the viaducts while you sitting back, eating popcorn or something. Deliver the mail, man. We need our mail on time.
Okay.
Hey, well,
I'll definitely
congratulations,
do
man.
that. I
Congratulations
appreciate
to you. Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's a funny joke.
Because there's been some
Yeah.
people out there. They've been in the news and everything. They don't deliver the mail. One
Yeah.
lady drove one of the postal trucks into a river, like it made it look like
Wow.
it's like, but she wasn't in the truck. The truck just went in there with all the folks' mail in it and everything. I was like, man, what the
Yeah.
hell is this? You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I'm definitely not doing that. I'm gonna take full pride in it. I want to
yeah.
get that big money.
I want to say salute. We got LPRN out there on the Rumble app. Gifted 5 subscriptions to the channel. Thank you, LPRN. I much appreciate that. The general is in the building saying Shakur is a coward with that Rumble rant. Thank you there, General. I appreciate you, brother. He sure is a coward. All of them are cowards. The whole mocking team. They're cowards and they need to be dealt with. They need to be dealt away out of the sport because they don't contribute anything positive to the sport whatsoever. One thing I want to say, K Rod, as a byline for the conversation upcoming, I am not talking about the card yesterday, last night. I'm not. That's why today's show it says, "Look what it's come to." We're talking about the state of the game of the sport of boxing and all of this damn foolishness that's going on. If you got some ideas and some comments to make about that, that's great. But we ain't talking about what happened in boxing last night because what happened in boxing last night was so insignificant over these other things that what I'm popping off on here is that people need to be reined in and understand what's important over Lamont Roach and his family and everything. They fucked up. And that's a conversation for another day. But no, we're going to talk about what this subject is. Look what it's come to. Look at what the fuck is going on with the sport of boxing. And we can see just from this image behind me, huh, that we have true legends of the sport. Pernell Whitaker, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., two men who faced each other before their primes ended. There was a slight delay, but they still got in there and they got it on because this is what the sport used to mean to us, where we see the best fighting the best. But go ahead, K Rod. And respect to the brothers out there in the chat and the Rumble Rants. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so I mean overall, like I've just been pretty like, how should I say? I've been really upset of like how boxing has been operating very lately. And I think honestly, like we need to be well, I'm not gonna say like all of us, but I would say like for myself as a hardcore, like there needs to be like a really strong like grassroots, like movement to try to like be more like aggressive to hold people like accountable for the sport because it's like as of right now, like it's really just turning into like a absolute circus. So I just think it's like a absolute mockery to see like all this, corruption go through behind closed doors. And I just don't understand like why, so many people try to make, excuses for certain fighters. And then, when it happens to somebody that you support, where if they got done dirty, people don't hold with the same, I guess, like same standards, for how certain matches go. So I just think at this, particular stage, like as far as like what, like, what can be done, like we need to like, actually get our voices heard. So, I mean, that's just my particular take on that.
Yeah, well, it's like I said earlier the silence on it is consent. we've got too many content creators, media personnel, former fighters who have gotten jobs to be on platforms to speak on the sport of boxing, who have contributed to the foolishness, you know, and that contribution to the foolishness in the sport allows for suckers like whom I've put up in that image, and I'll put them back up there because this is what they are, a disgrace, running interference in the sport of boxing. When you have guys like this banding together so that they can have a sisterhood, and we understand that even women don't stick together, huh? They don't, because they be in their feelings about everything. And just because somebody might have a different grade of hair or length of hair, huh? Or a pair of shoes that the other one don't have, huh? That makes a little bit of animosity between them. They have static. That's women's stuff. Men ain't supposed to be like that. So I guess the influences from these households that have led to these men to become like that and be in their feelings, that they can't even respect someone like DHP doing what they do in the sport, instead of trying to want to be on that line and ride that wave of energy like DHP has brought, they go the other route.
Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
They can't see that to come up means that you got to apply yourself, that you got to go out there and accept challenges and bring on the role of turning over soil to till the land so that you can bring forth good fruit and vegetables from the land. But you can't do that if you laying away and you worried about somebody else's oil lamp, huh? Worry about your own damn oil lamp. But these are fools out here doing this stuff, man. And it's time to say no more. Close the door. Leave this stuff. Look at these guys. Just look at them. They're a disgrace. And like I said, there are more who are not on here. You got the Rolly Romeros. You got the Teofimo Lopez's. Huh? There's plenty of these suckers to go around. Anthony Joshua. Huh? All of these guys, they don't amount to a hill of beans. And they got you praising and following these guys. And they got these stupid content creators who are out here putting off these false narratives, blaming the wrong party because they want to make it look like it's something different. You cannot fool me with your foolish behavior. You get people that go on the Ring magazine and sit across from the racist Max Kellerman and that former football player who got about 2 brain cells left, sitting there yapping it up and yucking and jiving with these guys. Gabe Rosado gets on there and says such foolishness because he's been punched upside of his head and he don't know what the hell he's talking about. And you guys listen to this shit like it's religion. It's ignorance. And it's time to say it. It's time to hold their asses accountable. Sean Porter looks like a damn puppet out there, dressing like someone from a minstrel show and behaving even worse. Tim Bradley is out there. You guys done run his numbers up on his channel with his ignorance. But I'll never forget him on ESPN letting Teddy Atlas pat him on the top of his bald head like he's a damn dog. All of this misrepresentation is out here. I am sick of it. And you crudgeons, you know who you are. It is so many of you now. So many. I'm talking about there's got to be 20 or more of you guys now. Used to be a handful. Salute to Tim TV out there with a rumble rant. He says to the sensei, the work you do is appreciated. Thank you for your rumble rant. We got Drew Titan LLC in the building. Salute, brother. He says, destroy them all. Yes, sir. 100%. Let's blow the whole thing up. Let's get rid of every freaking body, huh? Because that's the only way the phoenix will rise from the ash and the rest will just be gone. Because you have to have something inside, a soul that exists, and to be able to come back. Otherwise, you're just mud. You have nothing positive to offer. I produced a show called The Three Wise Men of Boxing. We had two of the most knowledgeable men on that show who could bring you so much information on boxing. And these men were ready to give you everything that you could ask for, but you guys weren't there. You weren't there. You were other places and spaces where the foolishness abounds. And birthed out of this is this bullshit you see me talking about today. And now one of those men is no longer with us. The Honorable Curtis Anderson, aka Kurt Sugar, who could remember a boxing story at the drop of a hat and give you such detailed time, dates, and everything that he could have you looking with wonderment of a child as he would relay the information to you. And he's no longer here to do those things, but you guys found every reason to go to these other fucking idiots out here who have grown not one iota since. It's embarrassing. And I see these guys. Did you see what Keyshawn said? Did you see what Keyshawn did? Now Shakur saying this. Now Shakur saying that. Do you hear me talking about those motherfuckers? They're not worth talking about. Women gossip about other women. Look at her shoes. She thinks she's cute with that outfit and this and that. That's what they do. They've always been that way. Now you got men behaving like that? It's fucking over. What else you got on it, K-Rod?
Yeah, I think overall, just based off of like how everything's being structured, it's really showing like the dark side of boxing where, like I pretty much like pretty much like you see like, all the bad characters of the people coming out showing, like their true like intentions and I think at this point, there just needs to be a, massive, I want to say how should I say, there should be like a massive gathering, for people to come together to definitely get, all this crap to be done, out of the sport, because if it just continues to grow worse, and then, like you have like these weird, shady cabals that people like to form, as of right now, like I just think it's just gonna, like make like the sport 10 times, more horrible, and then that's just going to affect, I guess, like future generations for boxing just to not really be any more popular anymore.
Well, the funny thing is this. I talked about it earlier in this show. I don't know how early you came in, but I told the chat that was listening, I said, this is not even about the bag because even in I showed the image of all four of those numbskulls up on the screen a moment ago, I talked about when you talk about it being about a bag, do you realize that each of them involved could have made a greater, if not the greatest, bag facing one another? So it's obvious that it's not about the bag, you see? But maybe it's more about the fact that you fear risk, putting it on the line. And the thing about that is you're in a risk place of employment. Let me remind you that the most dangerous aspect of what these guys do takes place in the gym, preparing for a night to fight publicly and in front of the masses. What happens on the night of doesn't define what's going on with your physiology. So, if you're going to risk, you fine tune and dedicate yourself to the place where it's most important so that on the night of that you can perform. 80% of guys you're getting concussed in the gym, you're getting CTE and you're getting hurt and all of this stuff and you ain't even got paid yet. Now, the sanctioning bodies, they benefit tremendously off of your foolishness. Going and asking for opportunities or paying for something and all of this. And it's like you placate matters by just, oh, a guy who really deserves a title shot can't get one because you got people like Jay Prince out there pulling foolishness like what he did with these two young skulls that are in his camp, Keyshawn and Shakur. In the meantime, Devin could have been putting himself in a position for a real fight with someone else, even if they're lower status than those guys. But you never really intended for your guys to face Devin. And they don't want to. So leave him alone. But instead, you want to play that female game. Oh, he ain't all that, whatever. Well, if he ain't all that, go take care of the business. Lennox Lewis once said, I want to get rid of all the misfits in boxing. He talked about all the characters out there, the high profile guys who were just carrying water in their hands. And you know how difficult that is. You fill your hands with water and try to walk 10 steps, and the water will be dripped out of your hand. right? Lennox wanted all those guys, concluding with Tyson, but he went after David Tua, Oliver McCall, Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison, Evander Holyfield, all of these guys. It was just a handful of guys he didn't do. He didn't fight John Ruiz. He didn't fight um, David, what's his name? Um, the guy from Michigan. That
David Tua.
No, I'm thinking about the one who was a light heavyweight, but he went up to heavyweight to fight. Um, Chris, I said David. Chris, what's his name? Chris, the defensive guy. He didn't fight those guys, but the bulk of his work spoke volumes on who he did fight. He even fought one of the Klitschko's, the tougher Klitschko. He fought him. That was his last fight. So Lennox did what he was supposed to do. He cleaned it up. These guys, they ain't got no intention of doing that, but the sanctioning bodies are enabling this stuff. Chris Bird, thank you, Tim TV. I couldn't think of his name. I got so many other things in my head right now. I appreciate that. Um, Devin is trying to fight for not only legacy, but he's also trying to fight for competitiveness. He recognized the talents in these guys, and he knows that if he faces them, that with victory, it elevates who he is. But just for the fight to take place, that's adding to his legacy. And so there's reason and purpose there. But these guys don't want that. That's why he should stay the hell away from them. Because there is a small pool of those guys. Let their careers die where they will, in the desert, because they don't have what you have. Seek other territories and see if you want a real model for what and how that was done. Look at to guys' careers like James Toney, and you could go back in time and think about guys like Larry Holmes or even Ali when he was back in the 60s. You know, when Ali became the heavyweight champion of the world, he was fighting, he went on a European tour, fought over in France, he fought in England, he fought in what do you call that place? Germany. Ali was globe hopping. He was a real world champion. And so you don't see these guys doing this today because they want to be comfortable. They want to fight in their backyard, literally, huh? And they don't want to take on challenges. They don't want to take on someone that could possibly push them off of their perch where they presently are. That's all a part of it. That's part of it. Why are you not understanding that? Now, if you don't want it to happen, you don't spend time and brain power and energy trying to create ways for it not to happen. You get in the gym and you work hard. You bring in people who can teach you how to deal with various levels of opposition. That's where it happens, the classroom. And it's important to understand that and know those things. And if you do that, you're able to represent in the greater fashion. People can respect that about you. I've had some of the brothers show me some things like the brother Drew Titan, and we got also my brother BFTB with these memes and stuff. They very creative with that stuff. I say, man, I don't know how to do that. Can you help me out? And I'd let them know. I don't know how, but I know you know how, and I respect what you do. So it's like, hey, show me some stuff. But I don't sit up and get mad at them and be like, oh man, he can do those memes, but I can't do them. So, man, I'm hating on him because of that. You know what? That's foolish. But in today's time and climate socially, this is how young men act and behave. Devin and Bill has had relationships with a lot of these young men, growing when they were young, kids coming into the sport and everything. And now as young men, you're all 30 years old just about, and you behave like this, that is nothing to be proud of. In fact, we need to bring back shame because pride is something that has displaced discipline, checking yourself. Because if you had discipline and you check yourself, humility has a place to operate within you. And with humility, you learn to become more self absorbed. Yeah. There's another call coming in, K Rod. Let me check. Let me try this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we got 408. Who's calling? What's on your mind? Welcome to the show.
What's up, Stormy? This is Townsend. What's going on with you, sir?
Yo, what's going on, Joe? How you doing, bro?
Good morning to you, sir. How you doing on this beautiful Sunday?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. I'm not just out here letting it loose, man, because my subject today is look what's it's come to, man, in the sport of boxing. This is freaking ridiculous. And I'm outing it all because it's like it leaves a horrible taste in the stomach. And I am not accepting of this foolishness, man.
Hey, I'm right. I'm right there with you. I mean, it's like the because of boxing. Boxing is the only reason why I'm a huge F1 racing fan now. I wasn't into F1 racing. I grew up boxing. Boxing kept me out the streets. My dad actually sparred Muhammad Ali back in the day. So I can tell you some stories for days, but um, it's just sad now because during that time, during COVID, we were still trying to get EJ and Bud. We're still trying to get Wilder versus AJ. We were still trying to get Devin Haney and Tank. And I was just so fed up with boxing that I literally started trying to find to get my rocks off somewhere else. I'm in the combat sports. I'm love football. I love basketball. I'm not. When I grew up, I was in the WWE wrestling. My dad would take me to all the events. Stuff like that. So, but I love cars. So then, because of boxing literally pushed me into trying to find other things that were exciting. And then I ran into F1 racing. Now I'm a huge F1 racing fan. I go to races. I watch every race that happens. On the calendar. And boxing is still the same. And we're going on 5, 6 years ago, OG. We still ain't getting no fights. We got Zoot for boxing now. No more Showtime, no more HBO, no more Top Rank on ESPN. Everybody complaining about Turkey Island Sheik. It's we're in a sad state of affair right now, but you know, boxing's not going to change, so we're never going to get the fights that we want. And then when we do get the fights that we want, they're 5, 10 years too late. You know, so it's you keep prolonging these fights. You know, even though we got the Bud EJ fight, we got that fight 4 years too late. You know, so if you're like a Shakur and you're constantly pushing down the road Devin Haney fight, you don't know what can happen in life. Anything can happen. We literally seen EJ get into accidents, detached retinas, and this and that and the third. We literally seen what happened to Anthony Joshua, where he got into his accident and almost lost his life. You never know what can happen in life. There is no tomorrow, you know, but, you know, it's sad and it's frustrating.
Yeah. The thing about, like, when you talk about like Shakur trying to push these fights off and stuff like that, um, the things that he and his crew and Tank Davis, Rolly Romero, uh, Teofimo Lopez, even Ryan Garcia. I had left him out of including his name in this bunch and batch because they're contemporaries. The thing that is really bad about this is, you know how in our society now we're talking about young people, you can't tell them nothing, right? That's prevalent in our society today.
Right, right,
Okay, that mindset has matriculated into other aspects of life, our sporting venues and in the entertainment industry, and because you're seeing it. Like, I'll give an example. That young lady that they had hired to play Snow White a few years ago. You remember how she just totally destroyed her career, and she destroyed the film before it came out because the Snow White film was supposed to have like a couple of sequels,
hmm
and she got on there with her woke mindset and all of that stuff, and speaking from that vantage point of those folks, and she thought she was doing a good thing, but it totally destroyed what they were trying to do because she offended the common people. The common people don't go to the movies and stuff for your agendas. They go to be entertained because they work hard every day for their money, and they want to
right,
just escape everyday reality by watching a movie with their family.
right,
You bring the elements of the world and all of that stuff and everything into the midst of where they are seeking refuge as far as entertainment, and you make it, you make there's no escape from this stuff,
right,
and your
right,
stuff is foolishness.
right,
So you destroy it, and that's what she did. Recently
right.
we had a repeat of that with this young girl that plays Supergirl. She said
Yeah,
that the Christian men and their dollars ain't important. Who in the world takes their families to the movies? The men. Now, not
same,
all of the men are Christian men, but there are
right,
men.
right.
Men take their families to the movies.
Same thing with Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
Same thing.
that woman did the same thing. But what I'm trying to say, and using that as an example, because I'm not getting away from boxing, because this is what we're
Right,
talking. But when these guys have formed this alliance where they think they're smart and they
right,
think that they can create some kind of a sub world that they can exist without threats and without where things can be good for them or whatever, you're making the thing bad for everybody because the power of the dollar isn't in you. The power of the dollar comes from what people want to spend the money on.
right,
And if you're making the present the presentation of what people spend their money on unattractive, guess what? Your
Right.
ass out.
Right.
And this is what has happened. Now, the other side of that is you have people, personalities on platforms, former fighters and everything, who have gotten involved in trying to speak on the sport, but they're hurting the sport as well. If you remember when Bernard Hopkins was fighting, he was fighting against the establishment too.
Yeah.
But when he got involved with De La Hoya and behind the scenes with boxing business, he seemed to turn into a different person.
Yeah.
And there was no benefit for him in doing so.
Right.
Really. And so he lost a lot of fanfare. He lost a lot of respect. We don't even know if, but is he still alive? Is he still around? Because now he done fell off somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But it's like,
Right.
and even before he disappeared, he was starting to look a little ill. I'm not wishing nothing on him, but he did
Right.
look a little ill. And it's like, what's really going on, bro? What we're witnessing, all of this stuff is bad. I said earlier in this show, it's just like when LeBron James had that big old thing and he was talking about, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. All of that, you want people to follow you like a diva and all of this or whatever. Bro, you're not bigger than the game.
Right.
And the game will be here long after you're gone.
Right.
But your contributions to the game will show whether or not you fumbled the bag and ball and you put it in the dirt, or you brought the level of it up to a point of not only reverence, but you respectability, and people honor that and want to be like that. That's something to leave behind as a legacy. What these guys are doing today, it's going to be a dark era for the sport of boxing. Just like Black Murderers Row was a dark era in the sport of boxing.
But the sad part is, OG, they don't care. They don't care about the legacy of boxing because they don't even care about the history of boxing.
That's
Literally,
why I
you have,
said, do you
yeah.
realize what happens socially with these guys that you can't tell them nothing? Didn't I say that
you,
a little while ago?
man, you literally have Shakur Stevenson saying that Tyson Fury will beat Muhammad Ali. You have guys like Tank Davis who don't know who any of the historians are in boxing. You know what I mean? So we literally have Shakur Stevenson arguing with Roy Jones Jr. and arguing with Andre Ward about the history of boxing. About, nah, man, you need to check out this fighter. I don't know, I don't know. But these are the guys who are supposed to be pushed to the forefront. It's the same thing with any other sport. Like, there's a lot of NBA guys who don't know anything about Julius Erving, don't know anything about Will Chamberlain, or anything about Iceman Irvin. They don't know anything about Clyde the Glide. Clyde the Glide. They don't know nothing. You know what I mean? All they know about is what they do. So the whole point of pushing the sport forward is you have to honor the history, so that way you can push it forward. But they don't care about that. That we live in a time of selfishness, and we live in a time of I'm bigger and bigger than the sport. So like, even like with Michael Jordan, like even till this day, Michael Jordan will never say he's the GOAT. The fans will say it for him. He'll never say he's the GOAT, because in his words, he says, I'm not going to say I'm the GOAT because due to the legends that came before me, due to the legends that I watched, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. So I'm not going to say I'm the GOAT. So boxing is just at a state to where without competition, it's not going to grow. Boxing is not like, where, like, again, with basketball, you got 80-some games, NFL, 19, 20 games. Fighters need to fight at least 3-4 times a year if you want to build the sport back up. These fighters are fighting maybe once or twice a year. And then when they do fight somebody, it's somebody you never heard of before, or somebody who can be easy competition. That doesn't grow the sport. So it's frustrating, because as a fan, You know, like OG, I like going to fights. I went to Devin Haney versus Regis fight. I sat on the floor, me and my lady, and we had a great time. I flew to go see EJ versus Ugas, and I sat on the floor, took a flight, bought a hotel, got a rental car. Hell, parking at the Cowboy Stadium alone was $300. You know, so
Yeah.
so it was a good fight. Fans would go spend money for it. And this is the reason why a lot of folks are gonna miss EJ, because EJ is gonna try to make the best fights, and he's the last of a dying breed. Because he will fight any and everybody, no tune-ups and all that. Even though that's to his detriment, the attitude of an athlete who's wanting to prove that I am the best. I scream out, I am the best. And if somebody yells back saying, no, I'm the best, let's lock horns, we gonna see. That's the spirit of manhood and competition. It's not like that no more. If somebody scream out, you the best, and somebody says it back, and nowadays these fighters, they'll run all the way halfway across the room and scream they the best, then go to the other corner. They'll just keep on doing it and never prove themselves.
Right.
And it's unfortunate.
And another thing we used to have where fighters were regularly in your home on television. You would see guys. You learn, like you say, they fight 3-4 times a year, if not more, and they're in your home on a regular basis. You become familiar with them. You turn
Yeah.
on CBS, NBC, and sometimes ABC, and you see these fighters, and it's like, oh, so and so's fighting again today. You know, uh, that made a difference.
Yes.
We no longer have Tuesday night fights. We no longer have Friday night fights. We don't have these shows that ran like a regular TV series. Although you got all these
Mm-hmm.
horrible TV series that are in your household every night. I mean, that whole power thing, like, what is that? I've never watched that stuff, but anyway, it's there.
Neither have I.
I would rather see boxing on like that. And they don't have to
Mm-hmm.
have these tremendous pay per view event cards and everything. Put them on so we could get familiar with these guys. They grow and they grow. And next thing you know, oh, he's getting ready to fight for the world title. I watched him since he started. That kind of thing. That builds it up. But they've gotten away from that. And these young men of today, again, like you said, they fight once, maybe twice a year, and when they do fight someone, it's someone you don't even know, and it's like, why should I be invested? You know,
Right.
why should I be invested in that? There's nothing about this that's telling me that I should be there. And then I gotta listen to him talk crap to me too. You know, and that's the other thing, the unforsaken manner of speaking about the fandom. You know, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody who might be a supporter of the sport, and not to call them fanatics, because everybody who is a supporter of the sport is not a fanatic, but not
Mm-hmm.
all of them are ignorant.
Right.
Quite a few of them are adept and know exactly what's going on. That's just like the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball. They have gotten away from the people who used to collect the cards. Remember
Yeah.
the cards and everything. People who knew the stats of everybody. Tell me this,
Yeah.
Joe. Do you remember being in high school when you followed professional sports, whatever sport that you followed? You knew the stats and everything on who you followed, didn't you? You knew
OG.
their
OG.
averages, their batting averages, the rebound averages, the touchdowns. You knew it. You knew it because you followed it.
OG. He can be like, I can watch an NFL game. Oh, that's so and so. He went to so and so university. He got drafted in this round. But yeah, I can do. Yeah, you used to be
Yeah.
able to do all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
See, and that makes a difference. So
Yeah.
why is it that these young guys today want to sit up and talk to you like you don't know what the hell you're talking about? I'm
Hey.
going to tell you what helps that mindset from them. these content creators out here who be on these nefarious narratives that I spoke about earlier. See, that's where you've allowed the ignorance to come in because there's not enough of us saying what we need to say about them.
Right.
They're shit and they shouldn't be out here and they need to be dealt with because you're out here and you're messing it up for everybody. Do you think that I would sit up here and have an interview with any fighter, trainer, even a promoter, and talk to them where I'm just blowing smoke up their butt? Or am I going to talk to them because I have them in front of me? I can ask them about the things you want to know about. I can ask them about, well, why is this like this? Can you explain so we can learn what's happening? And if your explanation doesn't align with my sensibilities, I know that you're being disingenuous.
Right.
See, and I can say that because guess what? I know how to speak to them. Yeah, I use profanity when I want to because that's a choice that I've made. But I do know decorum. And if I'm going to sit up and speak with someone on this, I will speak to them in a manner of which is a total communication, but at the same time, I am not going to allow the subjects that support to be insulted, nor will I allow myself to be insulted or disrespected. See, that's where Suleiman, when he went on and spoke to certain people and everything, and he was able to say that foolishness, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'd have something to say to him about that, you know? And you got too much of that now. You got too much of it out there, and that's why when you look at someone like Stevenson, notice where he went through this whole ordeal about
Mm-hmm.
him and Devin and everything. Notice the platforms and the access of where he went
Mm-hmm.
and who he gave access to. No
Mm-hmm.
one with integrity, no one with experience and knowledge, and no one
Mm-hmm.
with the understanding and depths of where to bring out what people really need to know. All of
Right.
that, he took advantage of that by going a certain route. And even now, he's still doing it.
Yeah.
He's still
Still, yeah,
doing
for
it.
sure. Yeah. 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 That's just somebody who his whole life has lacked accountability, and it's also somebody who has been babied his whole life. Because if you have elders, or you have, let's say, a manager who's respected in other forms of life. If you're a real OG, if you somebody of high character and somebody of high elk, you're gonna put your young homies in position, unless you're not unless you're just using them for you to make money. Because if you really cared about somebody and cared about their growth as a man, you're gonna steer them the right way. Hence the reason why you got guys like Abdullah Mason and his family, and you see the rate where he's going. He's not acting like Shakur or Keyshawn. He's very level-headed. I want to fight the best. I want to be a champion. I'll fight anybody. I ain't got no friends. This boxing. What we doing? Same thing with Devin Haney. Hell, you can even say David Benavidez. Even though he has his issues, he's still willing to fight the best. He want to go against everybody. His pops is right there. Ain't nobody telling him, hey, David, get away from your dad, man. You doing coke and you doing this and missing weight. You need to leave your daddy. Nobody ain't saying nothing. And he's still been calling out Canelo. So it's it's important for anybody, any young man, to have a positive male figure in your life. Well, if it's a coach, well, if it's a trainer, hell, it can be your damn next door neighbor. Having a positive male figure is somebody who will set you straight. Because any part of manhood, you're going to have to be corrected.
Right.
Either you're going to be corrected by your father, or you're going to be corrected by the police. Or you're going to be corrected by the judge, or you're going to be corrected by the judicial system. I worked in juvenile probation OG for 8 years. By the time they come to me,
Yeah, it's kind
I'm
of late.
peeling. But if you see me, it's a little late, and I'm peeling back all the layers. And by the time I get to the minutia of the problem, it's time for you to go back home. And guess what? You're going back to the same environment that allowed you to be manipulative, allowed you to be in dysfunction. So that's why it's important, to have people around you who really care about your growth, not just who care about you in the moment. They care about Shakur now because he's a boxer. He's a boxer. He's ranked 3 pound for pound. He's a pretty good draw. Let Shakur Stevenson lose. Let Shakur Stevenson have a bout outing like he did with De Los Santos, where he was running around the ring when his stock was down. Ain't nobody cared about him then. Ain't nobody in care. So then afterwards you get to see who really care about you. Earl Spence lost. People still cared about him. They still talked about him. They still wanted to see him fight because of the character of the man that he is. That goes far more than doing publicity stunts, and that goes far more than trying to trick somebody and trying to clout chase.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And the thing about it is, when you look at what these brothers DHP are doing for the sport, um, what they have really brought to the table, that with all of these people that they've tried to conduct business with and everything have detracted, is the solid uh, representation of not only independence, but to have knowledge and the thirst for wanting more than just being a pug that's getting punched in the face, but to be able to take control of your career and steer and guide in a certain way where it benefits you and you are not being used like a cartridge. And the thing is that that means a lot. It means a great deal. But with the distractions and everything coming from these subjects that are around them, you don't even get that, because that's not where the focal point is. But the success that they have is due to what I'm talking about, wanting
Mm-hmm.
to not only be self sufficient, but to be totally efficient in what you're doing and have a business acumen about what you're doing, so that there's something still left for you at the end of it all.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is left for the what do they call them? The wactive crew. What do you think is left for them at the end of everything? Brother, can you spare a dime?
You got any spare change?
Right? Yeah, you know I ain't lying.
Because we know at the end of the day, no matter what, Jay Prince gonna get his cut now. Whether you fight for 30 million, 10 million, or 500,000, he gonna want that 30% now.
And that guy, I'm surprised that people give him. You know, I don't have I don't have good things to say about him.
Well, I say this, OG. For me, you don't get no stripes for terrorizing your own people. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
There you go.
You don't get no stripes for me for terrorizing your own people. You just don't.
Or leading your
So
or leading your people to slaughter.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't roll like that.
Nope.
I'm the now if we talking about the brothers of the Deacons of Defense, who the brother wrote the great book Negroes with Guns. Now we talking now. But if we talking about terrorizing your own people and that's all you known for, you know. And then when you have we have Joe Rogan who come out who get caught saying the N-word over 100 times on his own show, and you come out and say, "Oh, Joe Rogan is my friend. Y'all leave him alone. Don't nobody do nothing." Huh? Oh, okay. All right, no problem. I got you.
Yep. And that's self-sufficient evidence of what we're talking about right there. It's right there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I believe that what we're experiencing with these young, uh, unimpressive young individuals, I think it's another one of those uh, dark moments in the sport. It will pass. There are going to be
Mm-hmm.
casualties out of this situation, and there are going to be lessons that some may gain or learn from, and there will be some that don't. But at the same time, it has to take place because this is what was invited. And I do say this was invited. This was invited. I can tell
Right.
people when you go back and you look at what LeBron James did when he originally left Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
and he told everybody, you know, that whole the mindset, the whole way of going about that. Do you know that in the entire league of the NBA, we had free agent signings and guys leaving from one place to another or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it didn't. It's like when Lou Alcindor played for the Milwaukee Bucks, and then he
Yeah.
ended up on the Lakers. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He didn't
Yeah.
hold a press conference and sit up there with all the cameras and everything, with people worshiping him and everything. And he was more valuable at that time than LeBron was. Because
Lou
we're talking
Alcindor
about
was
Lou
that dude.
Alcindor, bro. When he was
Lou
with the
Alcindor was
Bucks,
that dude. Yes.
he was. When he was at the Buck, when he was with the Bucks, he was the best thing since Wilt, right? And Bill Russell.
Man.
And not only that, that's the dude that filmed the fights with Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
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 So it's like, come on, man, let's keep it a buck. So, but the mindset is what I'm talking about. When it got to be like
Right.
that, then the descendants and the generation of that began to take over.
Right.
You know, every time I see a young man walking down the street with his pants hanging way down his thighs and everything, I just want to kick him in the backside as hard as I can, like I was a punter in the NFL kicking for a field goal
Hey,
or something.
hey, no problem, Sensei. By the time they see me, I'm doing it already for them. Don't worry about it.
Man, this stuff
when they
is
come,
foolishness.
when they come to see me, lights on at 6:30. Everybody line up, get dressed. Anybody got a problem? You getting slammed on sight. Ain't nobody playing with y'all. You ain't at home now. You in here. You in here with me.
Yep.
You got to use the bathroom? Well, I'll be standing here right next. I'll be here right with you. You got a shower? You got 2 minutes to shower. Y'all talking? I'm cutting the water off. I don't care if you still got soap in your eyes or not. Oh yeah.
Yep.
You getting transported to the dentist? You being shackled up from the feet all the way to your wrists. And no, I'm not taking it off because I didn't ask you to be in here. You wanted to be in here. You wanted to steal cars and you wanted to gangbang. Hey, you gonna be shackled up going to the dentist in front of everybody. Oh, your family want to come see you? Well, I got to inspect your food. I'm gonna sit here right by your table, make sure she ain't passing you nothing. Because parents will come visit their children and pass them drugs and stuff, and do all that kind of shenanigans. Or if you go home on the weekends and you come back, guess what? You got to squat and cough, and I got to make sure you ain't keeping nothing because we have had kids come back. They put something in their little prison wallet, and then they pass drugs to everybody and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, oh yeah. So don't worry, OG. By the time they see me, I'll kick them dead in their butt.
That's good. That's good.
But before I go, OG, I'll say this. I was at the Wilder 2 Fury fight. I was at that fight in Las Vegas. Even though, minus the outcome and everything that happened, just the spectacle of the fight. OG, there was more people in the building than they had seats. I don't know how all these people got in there. I don't know what door they came in. There was folks getting their seats took. There was folks who was fighting for their seats. Folks that paid hard-earned money, and somebody snuck in the door and got their seat. You call the usher, some 20-some, 18-year-old kid who just there to make some money, and he telling somebody, "Hey man, this is not your seat. You gotta move." And the guy gonna say, "Look, I ain't moving. F you and F you. You want to move me. Now you ain't got no seat unless you want to fight for it." So but the spectacle that everybody had to be there seemed like the world stopped for that fight. I never seen so many gypsies in my life, OG. I didn't know what a gypsy was till I went to that fight.
Yeah.
But the fact that how big it was when you literally had at that time the best fighting the best. You had everybody. Magic Johnson was in the building. Other celebrities was in the building. It was crazy. Even after the fight, you go into the MGM Grand lobby. There's people in the lobby talking about who won. I had some. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you what happened afterwards, but I swung on a couple folks. But even in the lobby, who couldn't get in the fight? Oh man, so and so won. Oh man, what happened? That's what boxing is about. The big fights, the big spectacles that everybody can't miss. That is the foundation of boxing. Going back to Thrill in Manila, going back to Tyson Holyfield, fights like that where you can't miss, and if you wasn't there, you felt like you didn't let your whole family down because you ain't bringing.
Yeah.
That's what boxing is about. Boxing is not about clout chasing and going on 7 to 8 platforms talking this and talking that. Boxing is everybody running to the MGM Grand, sneaking in, stealing seats, flooding the floor to where nobody can even walk around. Everybody has to stand up. That's what boxing is about because nobody wants to miss the event.
Right. Yep. And we got to get back to that. We got to get back
Yeah.
to it and make it. It not even that get back to it. We got to definitely promote that. That's what's important,
Yeah.
not this other stuff. It's like, for example, and I know you say about to go, but I'm just gonna put this out there. If you
Mm-hmm.
notice, outside of me like doing today's live where I put my little meme up about that, I don't give no day-to-day stories on the foolishness that these guys have been about.
Right. Right.
I don't run with everything, you know, uh when somebody, oh, so and so said this today, oh, this is it. I don't do all of that because any other brothers in the community that tell you that they talk to me behind the scenes, I had already said that this is what it was going to be from each one of these guys long ago, several years ago. The brother Drew Titan,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to do his live this evening. He'll tell you, if you ask him, he'll tell you, man, Stormy told me about all of these dudes a long time ago. And one of the things he says is they share the same DNA. And what that means is the way that you define who they are
Right.
by their character and everything is
Right.
familiar. And it's like it's just a different name in a different body, but it's the same
Mm-hmm.
mind and the same lack of heart. It's prevalent. And as a coach and trainer and mentor, these are the kind of things that I'm supposed to know about anyway.
Right.
And this is why it's unacceptable. But the fact that it's happening, it lets you know who they've gotten by
Right.
to allow it to take place.
Right.
I'm old school. You wouldn't be able to do that in my environment, my gym, whatever. It's like that don't go. You can get your ass
Right.
outside. I don't care how talented you think you are or might be or whatever. Because
Yeah.
potential is just simply that, potential.
Yeah.
What your natural ability and what you're accomplishing presently or whatever. That's defining. But doing anything based on your potential, nah, we ain't going that route. And some of these guys don't understand that because they just, they've benefited from someone, you know, placating and passing them by. Nope. You know, one of the toughest things in life is to be harsh and tough on someone because you want the best out of them, you know. But it doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you don't love and don't want or whatever. But you do have to press sometimes, and that
Yeah,
press is what's going to bring forth some diamond out of the pressure. You know,
right.
that's important. Some people don't understand how that works. It works because that's what you do. I, I said to someone the other day, diamonds are made under the pressure of coal, and just like a pearl is found at the bottom of the sea, not laying on the sand shore.
Hmm.
You know, think about it. It's like anytime you dug for something, oil is something that comes from the earth. The ore from the earth, you if you tapped into a place where, oh, this is an oil reserve or whatever, it's like that's like finding gold. That's fine. But it's like if it's just running like a river on top of the land, it's like no, that's not what you want.
Right, right.
So, but yeah, man, that's what that is, you know. I appreciate you calling in today, bro. It's good to hear from you. I know you had tried to call a couple shows back and we was getting ready to wrap up. So I'm glad you
You
got in
know.
there today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got to tap in and seeing what's going on. So I appreciate you, OG. Enjoy your Sunday, but real quick,
Yeah.
the biggest spectacle we just had recently was Crawford versus Canelo.
Yeah.
Huge spectacle. It's filled out Las Vegas Raiders Stadium, 70,000 people. With that fight, you had Canelo, who's supposedly the king. King of 160, supposed to be the face of boxing. And you have somebody like Bud Crawford, considered an underdog, considered a dog in fighting. Moving up two weight classes to fight Canelo and want all his belts. No rehydration clauses, no nothing. I'm gonna fight you, I'm gonna meet you where you at, we're gonna get it cracking. I remember that fight was so big, OG. You go to the grocery store, hey man, who gonna win the fight? You go get some gas, hey man, who gonna win the fight? My neighbors, who I don't even know, don't even like boxing, hey man, who gonna win that fight? Everywhere you went, everybody was talking about it. That makes boxing great. Ever since that fight, we went from having a peak in boxing to now we're back all the way down to purse bids and duck talk. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just if you care about the sport of boxing, again, we're in the time now where we got Zuffa and everybody in there. Dana White gonna turn boxing just like UFC. It is what it is, and then they're gonna be if they complain about money now. You got UFC fighters who barely make 50,000 and they can't even get sponsorships. So it's gonna happen at some point. By then it'll be too late for them. But you know, big
Yeah.
fights keep boxing alive. Again, if you're not going somewhere and you have a random person asking you about the fight, boxing is nowhere to be found then. So appreciate you, OG. Enjoy your Sunday. I'll holler at you.
All right, man. You do the same. Have a great day. And I
You
appreciate you
too, P.
calling in. Okay.
Already. Peace.
All right. Peace. That was a solid call, Brother Joe Townsend. Yeah. What a show. We had this, and that's what it's all about. Get those calls in and allow us to have a conversation on everything. Yep. We're about ready to get on out of here. I thought I was going to make it a Rumble only thing, but I kept it open on both sides because people needed to hear what was going to be said. They can get mad all they want to or whatever, but pay a few bills before we get up out of here. Yeah, as we come to the end of another Answering the Bell, I do believe that we had an opportunity to have a great conversation on look what it's come to. And we will be closely watching what's going on with this sport, man, because this is not what we want. We want things to elevate. We don't want things to descend into the abyss. So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody that came out today, the donations, the subscriptions, the Rumble rants, and I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy your week.